Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
So Dwight, I've noticed that the DnD Monster Manual has a lot of monsters that have flavor text or special abilities that allow you to create interesting stories with them that I haven't seen a lot of. So I was thinking, why don't we just run through a monster and build upon that?
Sure. What do you got in mind?
So the monster I'm thinking of today is the Aranea, which is kind of like a lycanthrope for spiders. So it has three forms. Its normal form, it's half spider, half human form, and then a full human form.
Okay.
But the interesting flavor text with it is, in combat, it tries to kidnap people for ransom.
Oh, what does it actually say? There, if you have it up.
Yep. In combat, as Aranea avoids physical combat and uses its webs and spells where it can, in battle it tries to immobilize or distract the most aggressive opponents. First, Aranea often subdues opponents for ransom.
Really? Wait, Aranea often subdues opponents for ransom.
Yeah.
It seems like a throwaway line, but let's just build off of that for a second. So, just so I'm clear, and I'm looking at the book now. This is the one we're looking at is in the 3.5 Monster Manual. What's the
challenge
page?
rating?
No, the page
15.
Okay, so we have a 3.5 Monster Manual. It's 15. If not, you can look it up online, and it's Aranea. And so basically, what the Aranea is it has three forms that it can stay in indefinitely. It's got a human form, but it's only a very specific human form. And what's interesting on this is the human form can either be a medium-sized or small creature.
Yep.
That's key. Then the hybrid form is a medium-sized creature. And then the spider itself, it looks like a spider except its brain is lodged in its back. It's got like a hump.
Yeah,
like
and its
camel.
brain's in its back.
And that's also a medium-sized spider.
Mm-hmm.
And and it also says like the true sight would show it as a spider.
Yes.
Okay. So you have like a weird lycanthrope-ish spider. Okay. So if I was going to create a game around this, what I would do is I would have a small town. I would just probably describe maybe a pre-made town or something like that, just so I don't have to come up with anything.
Small town, less than 50 people.
Something like that. But I would also find, more importantly, I would find a town that was maybe by a forest.
Yes, because it likes to be in forests and caves.
Right, and so, but the people have encroached on it because of trade purposes, and so what I would do is I would say, okay, this Aranea can look like a halfling female, because that would be the most unobtrusive thing I would think would be turning into a spider.
Yeah, because a medium spider, why would you think the small halfling?
Exactly.
You're going to think the elf or a human or something that's at its size.
Right, so then I would think, okay, what I would do with it is I'd say, okay, I need to create a place for her to stay. So I would invent like an inn name or a brothel's name, someplace where she can be around.
Brothel is an interesting concept there.
Right, but someplace where she can be around people that are getting drunk so that she can, quote unquote, follow them home, maybe shift into her medium-sized hybrid form.
And kidnap them.
Yeah, because she gets a web spell underneath in other areas. Like, not in her human form, she's almost literally humanoid.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing she can do.
But in her hybrid and her spider form, she has the spell, the webs, which allows her to immobilize.
Exactly. So what I would do with it is I would have a concept where this woman is selecting victims from a brothel or an inn.
Really easy to do when they're drunk, easier to kidnap.
Right? Make sure that they have some sort of power in the city and money.
Mm-hmm.
Because why kidnap somebody if you can't get a ransom?
Yep.
And she uses that to supplement the ownership she has in the inn. And so since she can maintain her form indefinitely, it's not like she has to worry about accidentally like a spell wearing off in the middle of her shift or something.
Yeah.
So then what she would do is she would kidnap these guys or gals, and she would drag them into her cave, which is where she actually lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would create like a natural cave, and I would put other monsters and stuff in the cave, but not high enough level that they wouldn't get out of their way if there was like a medium-sized spider dragging a body through.
Yeah, so something like a pack of wolves or something would flee when the spider comes back in, but then they help create a defense for her.
Exactly. And then she could stow that humanoid away like on the ceiling where the, again, said animals are unable to reach and destroy. Yep. And then she could, in her humanoid form, write a script, because it says here that she speaks Sylvan and Common.
Yes.
So she can interact with all the people that she would interact with. She could create the ransom letters. And then if I was doing this as a gaming session, the PCs could wander in. They could get hired by the wife or the husband of the person that was just recently kidnapped. I would then maybe say that, just to play the whole thing out, that the family has had a couple of victims from the family over the last 8 months be kidnapped by the same person. They've all kind of kept it quiet because it's embarrassing. Again, that's the one advantage of if she targeted powerful people. They don't want to say that they got kidnapped because that means that they're not as powerful, which means that their political enemies could then start to take them out. So it's kind of it's a victim crime, obviously, but it's kind of a victim-less crime because they're not going to go report it.
Yeah, the reason for you to report's a lot less than just keeping it silent.
Exactly. And so then what would happen in my game, if I was running this, to give the players choices, I would have them have the ability to interview the other members of the team, of that family that got kidnapped. Because the person's wife or something would say, hey, well, this cousin and that cousin were also kidnapped and they came back.
Mm-hmm.
I would then also have maybe an eyewitness account or two of somebody actually seeing maybe a spider
climbing up the wall or something.
Out the wall of the city, or dragging a body through or something. And, maybe the guard who saw that gets fired for being drunk.
Or being written off as crazy.
Right, so he's still fired. So he's maybe drowning his sorrows in his cups or something somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You could also do a little bit of a mystery take on it, where if they interview the family, each of the family members will say that they only frequent maybe a handful of places, and they each only have maybe 2 or 3 places that are the same, which gives you the ability to go investigate those 2 or 3 places and the owners of those places. So maybe if you chose a brothel, you'd have an inn that they all go to for getting drunk, and then this brothel that they don't want to admit they go to because they don't want their spouses knowing about it. And then on top of it, you could have it just not so it's diplomacy. It would be a diplomacy check might work for the one guy, but you couldn't use another intimidate or seduction or diplomacy for the other two. You'd have to do one person doesn't trust you.
Yeah, you could also have you ask them about going to this place and sense a bluff check kind of thing to see if they're lying about.
Yeah, but I don't really want to have it so simple as just a check, right?
True.
So I would say now think mini quest. So one guy doesn't want to tell you about where he goes because he thinks that you'll tell his wife. So in order for you not to do that, he's had some stuff stolen from him. If you steal it back, then he'll know that you're on the up and up, and you're not going to tell his wife because you've done kind of an illegal act. Now you both have a blackmail thing. If you tell on him, he'll go to the police or the local constable in the area.
You both have dirt on each other, so
now
chances are you're not going to do anything.
So that would be one thing I would do. One would be the diplomacy or bluff or whatever, and then the other one might be, maybe he doesn't tell you anything, and you got to track him. You got to do the stealth and the hide rolls and follow him through the city to see if he's actually going where he's going, and follow him for a week.
Physically go into the brothel, so that's your second location.
And the inn, and you know what I mean? He goes to a handful of places, and based on the collaborating evidence of the other two, they all hang out in the same, and I wouldn't have them just all hang out in one place. I never want to create just a single point of thing until the end.
Yeah.
So they would have maybe the inn and a brothel to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So that could cause your players to go break and enter into the inn at night and interrogate the owner or look for clues there and not find any because it's not there. It's at the brothel, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing there. And so the owner of the brothel, let's say it's just the brothel, is this female halfling. And so then that kind of helps too. Then the other thing I would do, the twist on this, because I always like to have my games have a little bit of a twist, is I would say that if they get the clue from the guy, the soldier, about the spider, they could go investigate. Or if they're hearing or listening to rumors, or maybe they get told by some crazy person that there's a big giant spider living in the caves, they decide to go out and investigate in the woods. They actually could find the body of the guy they were supposed to find, because soon as the brothel owner found out, as soon as the Aranea found out that the players were hired, she went back to the cave and killed the guy, hoping that the heat would go away. And obviously it's not going to now. And if they find that guy first, in his pockets could be maybe some coins or some stuff for the brothel, and maybe some sort of clue that leads you to an inn as well. Again, I would never just focus it on one place. I'd make them go investigate a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just so the game takes longer, and they have a sense of agency and free choice.
Yeah, so you're not railroading them, and it's also this thing of, so what do you guys want to do? And you have multiple options that they can take.
Exactly.
Gives them more player agency than, oh yeah, you're going here.
Yeah, now what do you want to do? Well, obviously I only have one choice. I'll go there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to play, Super Mario Brothers D&D, where level 1-1 goes to 1-2, and I have zero option on that.
Oh, you saved the princess, and she's in another castle. Where do you go? I guess to the other castle.
Right, yeah, I have no choice. So, that said, the other thing I would like to talk about on this is, if I was going to conclude the whole thing, you could then do a twist at the end. This is the other thing I like to do, is really make the choice at the end not as clear-cut for players. So most D&D people will be like, okay, so they find the spider, they kill the spider, game over. Okay, but remember, this spider can talk in, it seems like, all forms, actually.
In all forms they can.
Okay, so if the players encounter, so what you could do is you could set up the final encounter. And maybe they encounter her in the brothel with a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so they don't know, no one in this town knows who you four are, or five, or however many are in your group. They do know her, though. She's been a fixture of the community for about 3 or 4 years now.
Ever since the town started, because she's in that area.
Right, or when it got big enough to care, right?
Yep.
So if you throw all of that into place, you have the ability for her to cry foul, and then the entire brothel to go against you. So what you could do, though, is you could have her tell the players when she gets confronted by the players that if they want, she will pay them double what the woman is paying them to do. Mm-hmm. So let's say they were offered, 1,000 gold pieces, 500 gold pieces, pick a number. She will offer them double that. And when you have it, then she'll do this thing where I'm going to go hide it in this tree outside. You collect it and I will leave. I am permanently leaving this location. I won't bother these people again. Kind of like a Witcher scenario where it's like, here's your money. And the Witcher's like, just go, just please leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to kill you. Well, then that now creates a dilemma for the players. Do they A, take the woman into custody, B, kill the woman, C, take the woman's money and then go hunt her down and kill her again, or the next one, E, or whatever the next one is,
take the money and just
take the money and just leave town, right? Because again, you're never going to go back to this town again, or are you, right? That's the other advantage is no matter what your choices are, you could have a consequence for it.
Yeah. So killing her could cause that brothel to go down, and who knows, maybe her town was running off of the backs of the brothel and the inn. So since you killed one of the town's income, that town went under because of your actions.
Could have been, or maybe there's a really unseedy group of people that now take over the brothel, and the town turns into a lawless wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Because she actually was maintaining a lot of order, because if there was somebody that was a really devious deal, she could come in and kill them. Because it says here, I think she's neutral. So there's no real reason. So she's not like an evil character. We'll just check on that. I think she's neutral. So
usually neutral.
So
as long as something's not interfering with her business, which corrupting the town would be.
Yeah. So she could actually be holding off a greater evil.
Yeah.
Even. So anyway, there's just a ton of ideas I would do with this. I know we're getting a little long here, but I think I like this concept of this lycanthrope-ish spider
that does ransoms.
And just so you could hopefully see, based on this, how you could run this in your game tonight. Again, it's on the Monster Manual there. I do also know that on YouTube there's a guy who's taken this concept and modified it into 5e. So I will embed that link to his video on our resources page. And so you can go find that on skullrpg.com/resources.
Mm-hmm.
Or just go to skullrpg.com and resources is at the top.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.